Since his meeting on Friday with Russian President Vladimir Putin and his meeting yesterday with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, Mr. Trump has been pressed for details about security guarantees for Ukraine. Today, the president made clear what he will not do. The president said the U.S. will not send ground troops to Ukraine to enforce any peace agreement. He is now pushing forward with plans to have Presidents Zelenskyy and Putin meet face-to-face for the first time since 2019. Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes leads us off tonight. And Nancy, as if it weren't hard enough, now comes the hard part.
Exactly, John. Trump may have just met with both Putin and Zelenskyy, but the true test is whether he can get them to meet with each other. And tonight, White House officials insist that they are on the verge of defying expectations and brokering a sit-down after 3.5 years of a standoff.
CBS News has confirmed that Budapest, Hungary, is being eyed as a possible site for what would be historic talks between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two men have met only once before, in Paris in 2019, 2 years before Putin invaded Zelensky's country and laid claim to much of eastern Ukraine. Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, seemed to slow walk the plans for talks today, saying any contacts involving leaders must be prepared very thoroughly. But White House officials anticipate the sit-down will take place within the next 2 weeks and hope to have the date and site nailed down in the next few days.
Look, the president has put tremendous public pressure to bring this war to a close, and he has scoffed at the ideas of others that have been raised that we should wait another month before any meeting takes place.
In Alaska on Friday, and again in a phone call last night, Putin proposed holding the talks in Russia, a likely non-starter for Zelenskyy.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one.
The White House and European leaders are now racing to flesh out a plan for security guarantees to protect a post-war Ukraine from future attacks and discourage Russia from invading again.
France and Germany, a couple of them, UK, they want to have, boots on the ground.
In a phone interview this morning, President Trump said the U.S. would not contribute ground troops, but might help protect Ukraine from the sky.
We're willing to help them with things, especially probably if you could talk about by air, because nobody has the kind of stuff we have.
In a statement, Russia's foreign ministry said it categorically rejects the possibility of any NATO countries placing military assets inside Ukraine. But there were meetings across Europe today on how exactly to establish these security guarantees. And a White House official told me they want to nail down the plan within the next 10 days, John.
Nancy Cordes at the White House. Thank you, Nancy. Holly Williams joins us now from Kyiv, Ukraine. Holly, last night when we talked, the meeting in Washington between Volodymyr Zelenskyy, European leaders, and the president was just wrapping up. What has the reaction been among Ukrainians to those meetings?
John, Ukrainians want to know exactly what security guarantees are on the table, what kind of protection the U.S. and other countries will give them against Russia, because it's already invaded twice, in 2014 and again in 2022. The Ukrainians want to join NATO for that very reason, because it's a mutual defense pact, but the Trump administration ruled that out. And if Russia actually agrees to peacekeepers, they'd be patrolling a front line more than 600 miles long. And Ukrainians want to know what would happen if Russia violated a peace deal.
Right. So Ukrainians want to know if the Russians come in again, that the cavalry is going to come from somewhere.
Exactly, and it's complicated. To get a deal, President Trump's going to have to persuade Ukraine to make concessions. And to get those, the Ukrainians have to trust they'll be protected by their friends. And John, they've been let down in the past.